That's why I try to bring them together, like to bring beautiful and sad or violent experiences in order to connect to these feelings and at the same time be aware of where are we going. Hi, my name is Lucas. I'm from Brazil. I'm 29 years old. I started to dance really late, like for a normal ballet, let's say, dancer. I started with 16. Before that was playing football, actually. I had an accident, but even before this accident, I was already like, I don't know, it was too competitive, like physically competitive. And then I decided to stop playing football, and then I tried to find different sports, and I wasn't really feeling it because everything was kind of like the same environment, really like toxic in a way. And I was already doing theater since I was a kid. And once a ballet teacher saw me, I was like, if you want, we have a spot for a guy. Would be nice to have you. It's like, okay, let's try. And then I tried, and things just happened one after the other. Then suddenly it got together. Like, I was training dance and I was like doing theater. And I was like, maybe that's the way I want to go. I didn't actually believe, the first time someone offered me a contract for a professional company, I was like, you want to pay me for that? It's like, seriously? And then it just happened, of course I accepted. A lot. I think there's a big difference because I started late, so I had to run behind to catch up the technique for the guys that had the same age as I. But I kept this really strong sport feeling, which is like really practical. Sometimes I have the feeling that most of like classical trained dancers, they miss the feeling of like, okay, if you have to grab something, like it's grabbing something. It's not like, how you touch. No, it's like practical, this momentum of the movement. So if you run, you run. If you jump, is a jump. Like the feeling of like some really extreme activity. This, I think, is actually an advantage for my taste and for my point of view. It feels that my colleagues, most of them, they have this natural in the body. No, they don't have to think about it because they just have been training their whole life. So it just comes naturally, all the steps. And for me, it's always a mental process because it came to my body when my mind was already developed. So I wasn't like repeating blindly just to get into my body. I was always aware of what I was doing. In big companies, we have to do auditions every time. Like a new choreographer comes and they teach us a new part of the piece. In 1 or 2 days, they choose the cast. So it's quite competitive in this sense, but it's just about how fast can you be in understanding what they are asking for and deliver this. I remember once, because every year we have in São Paulo this huge event, and during the whole night, you watch performance, like the whole night till the next morning. I was already studying dance and studying theater in the university, and I remember sitting there, spending like 5 hours on the stage, just like, wow, I want to be these guys, like I could. It wasn't like I couldn't see myself. It was so high for my eyes that I was just like a huge admiration, and like one day I think I would be happy to be on this spot, And then that's maybe when I started to work harder and like, maybe I should commit to that. So many times. Like, and life is so circular sometimes. Like, I remember when I got this sensation, I was watching a piece from a choreographer that afterwards choreographed for me. And I was like, that's insane. Like, how come that this happens? I think about what I want to speak about, and I start to write down about. And then I start to imagine everything that I want, and I write down the scenes. Like, I write down the whole piece, and then I go to the studio to work with the dancers, and then everything changes. But for me, it's really important to have like a trail, and then go to the studio relaxed enough to let it change. For example, I never imagine steps. Like, I imagine sensations that I want to feel when I see what's happening. I like to speak about energy, like which energy I want in each scene, and how, like, let's say, an energy dramaturgy that I want to go through. But I always try my best to pick dancers that I know that already have this clarity, you know, like are clever enough to deliver that or to understand that. Even though it can be a struggle if they don't understand, there's also a technical level of explaining what you want that can, like, if you're good enough to explain well enough your idea, they will understand. First of all, I'm really worried, and I think it's really important to communicate this sense of urgency and awareness of things that are going on. I try to use this strong, energetic or experiences or feelings, but not just to make people feel this, but in order to introduce them inside the political speech, or like to make a political speech more radical through these situations. Otherwise, it's just like pamphletary work, you know. It needs to be like this extreme feeling with some like strong content, so people can be kind of shocked or really attract to something, and then get to think about it. And that's how I connect to world, actually, and that's what I think is urgent and necessary nowadays. There's a really famous theater piece. It happens in Russia, and people are like dying outside, and the actors are inside the theater talking about love. And I don't want to be this person, you know. I do think love and beautiful experiences are necessary, but we need to be aware of what's going on. That's why I try to bring them together, like to bring beautiful and sad or violent experiences in order to connect to these feelings and at the same time be aware of where are we going. I think that's it.